everyone, welcome back to JP's Budget Collecting in another episode of our indie show. Tonight we're talking about the hottest comic and character going right now, I think. And that is Something's Killing the Children. We're doing volume 3, which was issues 10 through 15. And I got my SIKTC chat with me again. As always, we got John. What's going on, John? Oh, showing off that Frizen
number 1.
I
gotta have the Frizen cover here, ready for the show tonight. No, it's the one Unruly always keeps telling me where the price is on it. He's always like,
all the time.
He said, because he knows that we're both like big fans of this cover, but it's the other cover that's the one that's like 3 times that price. So he's always like, hey, it's still creeping up, John. It's still creeping up. Well, I'm not gonna sell it, but whatever.
Yeah, I know the next member of our panel has like 9 copies of that in different versions.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, been there, done that.
He's gone full comic man.
That's not even part of this volume, John.
He's gone full comic man.
This is issue 10 right here. This is issue 11. This is issue 12 with that Peach Momoko sketch cover version.
Oh my god!
Look at that.
Yeah,
you got them all.
Okay, all right. Get out of here.
I'm happy to say I really dislike all the.
No, I love that Frizen cover. I mean, you know,
but
I don't think I have 9 copies. I think I have 6 copies, but that's pretty close.
Yeah.
I just feel like the black and white ones I don't enjoy as much. I know that they're fewer printed, so there's more.
I have all the color ones too, but
I just love the color work. So sorry, I don't want to interrupt. We got other guests, but
and we got Kachun trying to show off his trade. He's like,
we have the trade.
Well, this is how I read it. This is how I read it right here on Comixology. So
there you go.
I'm as lame as it gets when I read it. It's on my iPad.
Well, Kachun and Delphia, welcome. How are you guys doing?
Great, thank you.
We're doing amazing.
All right, well let's
amazing, apparently.
Amazing. I like it. All right. Well, before we get into this discussion, let's shout out this chat. We got the Unruly Simeon in the chat, and he's talking about that he's going to have to burgle Kavi. I think he said that before about other issues and things as well.
He threatens it a lot.
Yeah. GT, what's going on? Some guy named John's in here. Some guy named Comic Books NYC. I don't know who those guys are.
I hear he's got a great online store. If you haven't been to that guy's store,
he
does. Yeah,
he's a local collector that I know.
Oh yeah, you should follow him. That's good.
Yeah, definitely. And this guy is making his push to 1,000 subs. He's got a contest on his Slavaganza giveaway, so you could definitely go check him out. Giving away a lot of cool stuff.
We forgot some dad jokes.
And he always loves some dad jokes. So yeah, drop a dad joke, and that'll probably get you a bonus entry that he didn't mention. I'm sure it will. So, all right. So tonight we're talking about volume 3 of Something's Killing the Children. Finally wrapping up this first story arc. We're just gonna start with John. What did you think? What are your general thoughts about this section of the story, this volume?
I will say this is the portion of the 3 trades that I was wanting to get to most. Like I wanted to see how they concluded this saga, like this first event, and I feel like for me, it all boiled down to issues 14 and 15, which were sealing the deal on how good this was for me. So like 14 and 15 make this trade great for me.
Nice. Kavi, what about you, man? What did you think of this?
Yeah, I was looking forward to it. I think I purposely held off reading it, I guess, until more closer to the show, just because otherwise I knew I would have to reread it, Right. So I finished, I pretty much read all of them yesterday just so that it would be fresh, for the first time and didn't reread. But I got to say, I was a little bit disappointed by issue 11, 12, and 13, like to John's kind of point that he just said there. But I didn't dislike the whole volume. I thought the end of it was probably the bit that I was, that I felt the best about these 5 issues. No. But it's like I can read 5 issues of this so quickly that it's almost like I feel like these volumes should be 10 issues or something. Like there's so little dialogue. Like the writing, the script for this must be just a whole bunch of like to the artist, like, and just a whole bunch of mayhem on 8 panels, like for 3 pages. no dialogue. Like, I'm getting a little tired of it, honestly. Like, I love the artwork. The artwork's great and it keeps me through it, and I love the character, but I'm starting to get a little bit like skeptical a little bit about Tinian. Like, I'm not enjoying his Batman run. I'll be one of those guys out there saying that I don't like it, not liking Punchline, not liking any of that stuff. So this was the Tinian thing at the top of my list, and now I feel like it got taken down a notch by this volume. I'm still into it, and I'm a little bit confused by like how many issues after this is the next volume going to be, if they're moving beyond this location, which we'll get into all the specifics and all that. But like, yeah, I'm a little mixed on this one. I still dig the series quite a bit, but I felt kind of like the first 3 issues, like nothing happened. Not much happened. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. Kachung, Delphia, what do you guys think of this one?
Well, I mean, considering that we weren't like anticipating each book coming out and we just like blasted through the trade, it read really well. I thought it read well as a trade. I don't know if I were to buy it as individual books, I might feel like Kavi and feel like there's not a lot going on in the books. There's a lot of art, which is great, and that's cool, but not a lot of storyline. I thought it was good, though, as a trade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that I wasn't expecting it to wrap up the way it did. I just was expecting it to keep going. And then when they wrapped up in the town, I thought, at first I was disappointed, and I was like, no, wait, it's actually really good to end like that. And now knowing, because, you know, I follow the community, knowing there's 2 more issues.
There is more issues.
Somewhere else, right? It's going to.
Is it only 2 more issues?
No, it's still going.
Or is it? Oh, it's
there's only 2 more issues that are out. That have been released.
Right, which I saw those issues available to me in Comixology, and I like to buy for whatever discounted price because I'm a subscriber or whatever. But I didn't just stopped at 15 because that's what you told me.
So basically, I'll just give you the rundown copy. The next storyline is a flashback to how she got hooked up. Erica.
Right.
Back to when Erica's a kid and her encounter with the monsters is what they're telling the backstory next.
Right, because
then they're going to jump back to wherever she goes after this. So it's going for a little.
And
while.
Is that a different title that's going to be that prequel thing, or is it
it's
part
just
of something still in
children?
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So it's same title. It's 16 and 17 are so far the start of the flashback.
Got it.
Yeah, there's a lot to explore still with the slaughterhouse and the white and the black masks and
So
well, I was gonna be like, is this a light side, dark side thing all of a sudden? That's what I got out of it. I was like, what? Like, is this Game of Thrones now with like different colored masks and houses? Like, oh, there's more than one house in the house of whatever.
I don't know. You say light side, dark side. I'm thinking Star Wars. I don't know.
Wait, didn't they say that they're not the only house in the Order of St. George's? Something. Like.
So they're basically.
So I guess they're trying to do some universe expansion in it, even though they didn't really give us a ton of context on what that might be yet. Maybe they do in the next arc, I guess, the next non-prequel.
I'm sure we're going to get more because a lot of it was here. They get an introduction because she wears the black and she's Slaughter is her last name, and then basically what we find out in this volume is that there are more than. This, what do they call it? I forget, the Order of St. George?
Yeah, the Order of St. George.
And basically, it sounds like she's the only one left, though, of the House of Slaughter, it appears to be. So, so that's an interesting twist on things. My overall take on this volume, before we completely go into details, is this kind of made the series for me. Like, I enjoyed the first 2 volumes, but I have to agree with Kavi. Like, overall, I've thought the pacing on this has been slow. I feel like these 15 issues could have been 10.
I agree.
But but overall, like what we got to getting a little bit of the backstory, meeting some of this, wrapping this up. I just felt like they were in this town for a little longer than it needed to happen. But the way this wrapped up, I really enjoyed her relationship with the rest of the Order of St. George, with the dragon, with the other lady that's in charge of the other.
What was his name again? White Dragon what was it?
I don't know. I'd have to find it again, but
Exactly.
Old dragon.
Old Dragon.
Old Dragon, yeah. So, like, overall, I really enjoyed this volume a lot. So, yeah, so let's dig into some of the details. It seems like everybody wants to, so far, we're wanting to focus on the fact that we get to reveal that there's kind of multiple houses within this order. Because you'd always thought it was like the house.
I mean,
of
that was
Scar.
a pretty late reveal in the 15th issue. So,
So it started with a flashback, right, of kind of what happened in the first issue. Did that occur in the single issue, or was that kind of a backstory for the trade?
well, I think there was like kind of maybe an intentional writing decision there in that 11th issue of like, if you got cobwebs on issues 1 through 10, like here's 4 pages to sort of reset where you're at, and I kind of did appreciate that because
Yeah, because it's been a while.
it had been a while since reading the second volume, so
It threw us off like initially, but then we realized.
Well, we just went back and read some of the other trade, so
right.
that way we could just pick up, on the small details. But at first we were like, "Is this a dream? Like, what is that?"
Right.
Yeah.
He's reliving it.
Well, they confirmed that guy, the other guy actually did get killed, right? In that
Oh
issue,
yeah.
by the end of it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What was his name again?
I don't remember.
I can never remember that guy's name.
I think he's the.
He really wasn't that important. He was just another member of her house that got sent to kind of, because he had
Right.
seniority.
Yeah.
And he really wasn't like very good in the field. Like,
But I
you know,
think
that's
what-
I know they mention his name somewhere, but
at the end, somewhere toward the very end, it's when she goes back and meets the old guy and they're talking about it, I think.
yeah.
But I was just gonna say that I think that the black,
Aaron. It's Aaron Slaughter.
Aaron was that, yeah.
Aaron.
I think that it was intentional, right? I think that they wanted to show the differences of the houses a little bit, right? Because he came and he was a little bit more like, her, where he was conflicted, right? So they kind of messed up. He got killed. The end. It's not always the best judgment because they're not following, the house rules. But I think it kind of shows the differences. And I was saying to Kachung, like maybe all of the black masks are kind of the better half of the house, right? Because they're all dead too.
They are influenced by the lady that they mentioned that I assume we probably meet in issue 16, which was the
Jessica.
lady who recruited Erica. Like,
Jessica.
Oh, by the way, were those real worms or were they gummy worms? Because they look
like
pretty
gummy
good. They look pretty tasty.
yeah, I think they're going to
pretty
be.
real if they're like conjuring monsters.
The onomatopoeia was slurp, so I don't know.
I do that with gummy worms.
when they're like in the bag. So, but like, yeah, so we get a feeling that Jessica ran the black room very differently than Cecilia or runs the white room.
Yep.
And it's very clear that she's more concerned about keeping monsters a secret than she is about actually fighting or killing monsters. She's more concerned about keeping containment than dealing with the actual monsters. Whereas, it's clear that what Erica learned from the black room and her own experiences, that she's more worried about trying to save lives.
Yeah.
Even though, like, in some cases, you could argue that she made mistakes that ultimately did cost additional lives. Like, just the way, in her effort to save lives, she may have, like, made some mistakes, too. But,
And I kind of like that personally. I like that Erica is making mistakes, that she's not this like superhero, that she's screwing up, she's trying to figure out her own way and her own path, and she's young, she's somewhat arguably still kind of new to this job, so it would seem. I think I like that she's not portrayed as John McClane in Die Hard 5. I like her as John McClane in Die Hard 1. And I'm appreciative of her flaws and her mistakes. And I don't want to get. I'm happy that we're in a place where we feel sorry for her and we're worried about what's going to happen to her, versus where we're like, I feel really bad for these terrorists. Jonathan McClane's going to kill all these guys. They don't have a chance. Like that's where you get. And I don't want to get to that place. I'm happy where we are, and those mistakes I think humanize her in a kind of fun way that certainly make her more relatable and interesting to watch.
I will say, because we'll get to the art in detail, but like one of my favorite sequences in this trade is this opening of issue 15, where I used this image last night for my thumbnail for my whatever report, and like where she's just like exhausted, and her stumbling back to the house.
Yeah.
It's there's real consequences for her. She's not Superman going into battle or whatever. She's just a kid, like John said, that's trying to do this. And basically, and I love her line at the end, I'm going to do this till I can't. How does she say it? I forget now. When she's talking to the dragon.
It did follow 8 pages of her massacring monsters.
Yeah, there was some of that.
Yeah. Speaking of feeling sorry for people, though, how about Tommy, man? I mean,
yeah,
holy hell! Like,
oh,
what a way!
Yeah, like the way he steps up, to basically completely sacrifice himself to save the rest of his town.
Yeah,
right.
And nobody's gonna appreciate. Even the people there are probably ultimately gonna not really appreciate it. I don't think the way they probably should.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I mean, I would argue that he did it more for his mom than the entire town, right? Because his mom's on the brink of snapping, and also didn't value enough in him to say, think about sparing her own life. So in this act of heroism,
was there a scene where the mom realizes that's what he's doing, or does he go out and do that on his own and his mom never sees that, and then later is she under the impression that her own daughter was killed by her own son at the end of it, or does she know that was that's not true? Because if she is under the impression that feeling that her own son killed her own daughter, that's tragic. Yeah.
I don't think there's an explicit moment, and that would be a flaw in the writing.
There is not a moment.
That's what I thought, and
I got a feeling that all those people at the school saw what was going down, because they saw that moment in issue 11 when that little girl gets shredded.
I guess
which is, by the way, one of my favorite visual moments.
Yeah,
when the townspeople can't see what's happening, but that one little girl and the one boy running in are like, stop, and then that girl is just floating in midair, and then just I mean that is amazing. I was like, oh wow, this is getting real.
But I think the question would be what would you expect in that panel when she recognizes it? Because she's so emotionless at this point.
Oh man, yeah.
That it's not like she would snap out of it and be like, "Oh,
right." Well, they show her at the grave of the daughter afterwards. When Eric is on the bus and James is on the bus, they cut away. Yeah. They cut away to a panel of just her at the grave site of the daughter, and then they make a reference to Tommy, but they don't clarify necessarily, but they don't have to, but
I mean, in a way, kind of now both her children are dead.
Yeah. Which is just tragic.
Yeah.
Really tragic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, they don't you just see her at the grave crying. You don't really get any there's no closure flipping back through this. She is not seen when that whole conversation is going down where he's basically confessing.
Right.
And getting arrested.
So then it would be upon the rest of the community to sort of explain that to her, I guess, that that he did it as a sacrifice, not as he's not a murderer,
But maybe how many of them really even understand enough of what's going on to not oh, maybe he did do it.
I know, that's what I'm saying. I
feel like there's a lot of people, even the ones that are there, are in their mind later going to fill in that he did it.
Right.
that scene John talked about because they can't understand it. That
I mean, I haven't.
Are going to believe that it actually was him.
I haven't read 16 and 17, and based on what you're saying, JP, that those go backwards in time, not forwards. So
right.
So I'm just wondering if they'll ever circle back to that whole story plot, that story thread, or
lingering unknown that it's like
my guess is
in Inception.
right?
Probably not.
That would be crazy to me if they didn't, though. Like, oh man.
I mean, I think that may just be my guess is we're going to follow her, and I don't think she's ever coming back to this town. But
oh, you mean just Erica? Yeah,
Erica.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, I think this whole thing is Erica's.
I don't think James. I think James was just there to like give that closure. That closure that it was like a question mark with her and the old dragon. She was like she walked away from that wondering what. Like if she was getting something out of it, and then he kind of confirmed that for her. So,
yeah. I mean, he's supposedly not going with her. He's going to his aunt's house or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I found that to be a depressing story plot. That story part.
I mean, there's not a lot of uplifting in this period. I mean, like this is not happy-go-lucky in any way, shape, or form. Like. Nobody really comes out of this in good shape. I mean, like the town doesn't. They come out better than they would have if Tommy doesn't make a sacrifice. But like James has got to live with the fact that he now knows that like he was the source of this monster to start with. Like Erica knows that she's kind of screwed up, but like she did the best she could. She still saved as many lives as she could. Like, but she's also had a falling out now with the Order of St. George, which means they may, depending on how things go, they're probably going to be hunting her later.
Right.
So there's no happy ending here.
Didn't they say at the House of Slaughter that the Order has been, in existence for like thousands of years or something like that?
Yeah, he basically says, the Order at large will not accept that the House of Slaughter is only one house of many.
Right.
So you got to assume there's more than just the white room and the black room. That there's several other rooms that we didn't see. And and her thing is, I renounce the House of Slaughter. I renounce the Order of St. George, and I'm gonna keep doing this until it kills me. But I'm not gonna do it for you. Stay out of my way or stop me, and it's just, so it'll be.
Would you think then that the other orders potentially have other colors, but they have different motives surrounding these monsters? Because the white masks want to erase, any knowledge of people knowing about these things, but the black masks want to get rid of them.
Probably. I mean, they already have.
What other motives are there?
Well, they already all capture and then tame monsters. So there's probably a faction that's all about capturing monsters.
Well, I mean, you even see though, like the white mask when they show up, like they kill the one, but they're more concerned with controlling the people than the monsters. And the fact that there was already messages and phone, like a video and stuff of that girl getting killed in the parking lot, their concern is completely on getting those phones and stopping the message get out, not eliminating any monsters.
I get that, but all of them do train their monsters because in their little pet, each one of them has a monster, and it seems like a monster that did something to them. So that's why I was just saying potentially.
Oh, right, like that the whole Pokemon element of this.
Yeah.
There's like a Pokemon element.
There really is.
It's in the background. There's
let me cultivate my monster and let it hatch.
The Game of Thrones element.
Stranger Things element.
Yeah.
I mean, so what we're talking about, what did we think of like the monster?
I did not like that whole reveal personally.
Gotta kill them all.
Yeah, exactly.
Huge reveal.
I was like, this is the explanation? I was a little let down.
I dig it, but that's me.
I didn't like it.
What did you expect, Kavi? I liked it. I was
Yes.
happy that it turned into something like a
Just something
guardian.
else, honestly, just something better than that. It just wasn't. I wasn't satisfied with that.
Creepy
Really.
octopus.
Right.
You
Well, I
weren't
mean, it seems
satisfied
like,
that it's really just the spirit of her original monster that's trapped in there, and it basically looks however she wants it to.
yeah, she kind of can make it look however she wants from what she said. And she can apparently make it shapeshift because it
Yeah.
manifested into the mother monster. So, I don't know. I thought it was cool.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's super creepy. Firstly, I think it's kind of creepy, and I love the banter. I've always liked the banter between her and the octopus, and this puts it in a nice context.
Yeah.
And then I really love the visuals that accompany it, like the glowing yellow light that they use to represent the spirit kind of coming out.
Yeah.
I dig that as well, just the visual of it, and I love the moment it's leading into, which is, I mean, ultimately in this trade or whatever, issue 14 is the big one. Like everything kind of goes down. Issue 15 is the top. Let me wrap it all up.
Yeah.
But issue 14 is where the big fight happens. Some of the big reveals happen, and so like I love the way she's talking to the octopus at the end, and it's like, they're coming, they're going to kill you. It's so happy. It seems so joyous in watching her like suffer, and then she's like, "Shut up! I need to work off some of this anger." Like,
Well, and I love
this amazing.
I love
fight
the
sequence.
fact that they talk about, like, the other kids ask, "Is it still dangerous?" And it's like, "Yes." And she's like, "No, only to me." Like that, like she's the only one that they could actually still like do something to, because of the bond that she probably created with it when she put it in the octopus. Is my guess. So yeah, that it can actually only really like have a negative impact on her is something I found interesting, and I like the way that they're allowed link in that way. But yeah, John was showing that panel, and yeah, this panel is just crazy.
Yeah, that double page spread is awesome.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the point I'm getting at here with this volume is like in volumes 1 and 2, I felt like the art and the story were kind of on equal levels. And this one, I felt like the art far outweighed the story to me, like as the reason to keep reading the series. For me, is more art and visual and visual in nature than it is the dialogue and the story. I'm being a little crabby, I guess, but I think people are kind of like unjustly calling this like the greatest book out there. I disagree with that. I think it's a good book, but I don't think it's the greatest book out right now.
I will say, Kavi, I was very much and still am certainly in your camp. I think the heat around this has more to do with her design.
Yep. It's all visual. It's a very visual thing.
Her visual look and design of a character. And I do think she's a fantastic character, but it does with the story that they're telling.
I wouldn't be buying all the books I didn't think that.
I would say, like, for me, like volume 2 and the start of this volume, like I was like, this is what everybody loves. Issues 14 and 15 for me, I like the reveal of the octopus. I enjoy it. Like issues of 14 and 15 brought it back up for me. Like I feel way better. I'm enjoying it way more, story-wise and art-wise.
Yeah, I liked all the St. George, and House of Slaughter background information. That was kind of what improved it for me.
Yeah, I mean, all that stuff is what brought it up for me. Like, I actually disliked Volume 2 way more than I disliked this volume.
Really?
I said dislikes not the right word. Volume 2 to me was definitely like
slightly less
slow. There just wasn't enough going on.
Yeah, it was kind of it was a connectivity set of issues versus major plot development stuff.
Yeah. John, I will say something.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, for me, like when I was reading these month by month, I read that first volume. I was like, "This is amazing," and I said, as I finished it, I was like, I really hope that
First
the next
volume for me is still the best volume of these three.
I just felt like I wanted them to end it in the second volume, like just
Right.
tell the second, and then
Yeah.
the second volume is when I felt like they were stretching something, and I was like, what's going on here? And then I got what I wanted in the third volume, where it's like they ended it, they had some of the reveals that I wanted. I just wish they had taken those second and third volumes and squished them into the one.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it goes back to my thought at the beginning that it could have been 10 issues, I think, to this point.
Yeah, at least. I mean,
or 12.
12
then
at the
6
most,
issue
but yeah.
volumes or something. But yeah.
and it feels like they stretched it when they realized they had something. Like they asked to stretch, and I could see that.
Boom Studios is not known to do. No, I'm just kidding.
They stretched it so they could rip a child in half.
Yeah.
To get you back into it.
Hashtag worth it.
I think they stretched it so that they could sell more variant covers. I mean,
Oh,
I'm
that
not
too.
about to get into that whole thing on here, but I think that's literally the reason is they stretched it to sell more variant covers.
Oh, I'm sure that's part of it. So, what about you, Delphi and Katrina? You guys have been quiet for a little while. What do you guys think? Are we off the rails? What do you guys think about this?
I mean, I think one thing that we noticed was that the old dragon and Erica have the same color eyes, whereas everyone else has red eyes. So likely, more to the whole force, spec
Jedi.
that we have. Yeah, Jedi spec. But I think that for me personally, I don't mind all the art. I mean, I don't know how many books I have that are modern and not modern that the art is either inconsistent throughout and not very good, and the storyline's okay, but the art's, especially a lot of great cover art, but not a lot of great art on the inside. And I feel like I can lose interest when the characters in the scenery looks terrible, or when there's just a ton of words, word bubbles, and very little art. Like sometimes I like, taking a break from, squinting my eyes and being able just to like see it. I feel like it's more engaging in a way. Like you can actually like hear some things.
I like the art, but I like the art, but I guess what I was saying is, as a comic book writer, what are you giving your artist? Are you giving him an outline of those panels, literally panel by panel? This is what I want to see, or are you saying, or is it Stan Lee method, like literal mayhem with the monsters for 4 pages? Up to you, artist. Is it that open? Like, I'm just curious. Like,
and I have no idea what kind of
because there's no bonus materials, or there's nothing like that for us to digest and how this is. Art is all digital, as well.
Right.
And there may be a few too many panels to describe what's going on without the words, like them escaping and her getting in the.
Because being a writer in comics doesn't necessarily always include words. It's providing the artist the direction for the art on the page, which furthers the story. I'm just curious what kind of method that they're using on it. Personally, just out of sheer curiosity.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how much Tinian's given him. Maybe we'll get some bonus stuff in the hardcover that's coming out that like might give you a little more insight into that. But because I've never this Werther Dell'Edera.
This is the only series I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's the only series I've seen him on. I will say, I'm constantly surprised by how much I like his art. I feel like his style is very rough. Like, Delphia talks about how, bad some of the interior art is. I feel like when you open it and, the first glance, it's like, oh, I'm not going to like this, art. And I feel like that almost every time. And then, as soon as I'm, a page in, I'm like, I really, really do like it. It's, I don't really know how to explain that, but he has a very
carrying
rough,
you mean,
around the edges, unfinished, it's not really cartoony, but it's not realistic either style that
right.
I didn't think I would dig, and I really do.
I've been reading it digital, so I feel like the whole presentation is more illuminated on the screen, and it's a digital art. It's digital art to begin with, So
Right.
I almost think it thrives better in a digital reading environment because of how bright the colors can be and stuff, and in your face.
I don't know. I kind of like the dingy, dark. Like,
Yeah, see, I'm looking at your trade right now, and it's like it's not as, I guess, pure black when I see it, just because I've got the surrounding like
Mhm.
iPad light going on or something. Like,
Yeah.
I just feel like it just pops, or it's way brighter on an iPad than the trade.
And I guess we can't do another one of these shows without mentioning the fact that sometimes you get lost going across the page,
Oh,
Yeah.
going down, but
Like,
reading it
to me,
digitally.
That is the most annoying thing about this book is every page you got to like look at and go, okay, which way am I going?
Yeah.
Like, I would agree with that. Because we brought that up in the previous ones, and it's like,
And it got us again. I mean, it really.
Especially on pages that don't have any dialogue. And it's like, and there's like 17 panels right here in various weird shapes,
Yeah.
no words.
It helps if the art goes from one page to the other. Then you got it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I can't
JP.
remember this guy's name, but like, can we just shout out?
Is it Beyond's dad?
Yeah.
John, yeah. I mean,
John. Well,
he
no, he was
tried-
another of the police officers.
he wasn't her dad, but he was the police officer she was left with after
Yeah.
she was rescued or whatever. Yeah.
And she seemed to have a large part that. Did it really wrap up with her? I mean, was she?
I agree. I
really
agree.
bouncing?
I kind of miss that she's potentially not going to be a character moving forward, right?
He had a
Like,
lot to do
I
with that.
don't like. I'll be honest. I don't think any of the townspeople we're gonna see again. I think this Archer's Peak.
right. That's
This,
over.
well, to a certain degree, this is gonna be like what is it? Kung Fu. Like the journey. Erica's gonna be the journey in between towns and places, and
Right. A
she's gonna
Ronin.
meet these
She's
people.
going to be a Ronin, basically.
She's gonna be a Ronin. Yeah. And
What was
I think that's part of the reason I think this took too long is like in Archer's Peak is because these ultimately none of the characters we meet in Archer's Peak matter to the long-term story.
Right.
It's just
Right.
part of her story. Like that's where I think it like I'm with John is it probably could have been a 10 or 12 issue set instead of 15. But
Mhm.
Right.
what was her purpose helping James figure out that he was the cause of all this because she was there in the initial murder scenes?
Who the
Beyond.
She was just more hyper aware of it because she understood the babies and what they were going through.
yeah,
and
she was using both of them because he created, but Beyond spent like actual time
right.
trapped in the cave
That's
with
right.
the mother, like and the babies. So like that was she was using. Both
She was
of them.
like the 11 of this story to me in my head. If I had to draw that parallel, and now that I'm realizing that that's being like entirely written out moving forward, I was a little frustrated by that also, personally.
Yeah. But I think on the other side of that, right, there's always a silver lining. So if you
I'm sure they got exciting ideas ahead.
well, the silver lining is if you like the story and you like the art, right, enough to keep reading it, they didn't go too much into the House of Slaughter. So there's still a lot of story to be told. Because if they had told 80% of that story in, these 17 books, you'd kind of be over it.
Yeah.
I wonder how long this is going to go on for. It just
How many
Like
towns?
Micah, since this
However
is
long
not-
people keep buying it.
Yeah. Well, like a lot of these indies do have like a structured story. There'll be 30.
right.
issues.
Like
There'll
I
be
feel like a lot of
45.
these
There'll
have
be-
some sort of end game planned out
Mhm.
by the writer with these creator-owned books. What I fear is the Boom Studios influence, and I kind of was cracking the joke earlier about variant covers, but I was being real. Them wanting him to stretch out the story as well beyond what he had actually originally planned.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
so that'll be interesting. To me, this sets up as potentially like a 3-act play to a certain degree. This is going to be like your introduction. This middle where we're getting the flashback is going to be kind of like we're going to get a flashback, and then we're going to get some kind of confrontation between her and the House of Slaughter or the Order of St. George, and then there's going to be a final like 15 issues that are going to be like the end of the story. Like there's going to be like to me, that's the way it's setting up. Is this is like a three 15-issue volumes.
Mhm.
Like Kavi said, Boom Studio realizes this little girl is a gold mine.
Yeah.
And so I have no idea if that's where it's actually going to go now. I have no idea if that's what they were planning to begin with, but I don't see Erica Slaughter.
Is it and by the way, is it a creator-owned series? Because it's Boom Studios, not Image. Image is 100% creator-owned series where Image provides marketing, distribution, publicity,
right,
advertising, and other services to get those comics on shelves. But at the end of the day, it's the creator that owns the IP. Boom Studios, I don't know exactly what their setup is with.
I don't either.
On their books, it could be a totally different setup. So they may have the right to keep doing it beyond even James Tynion's involvement. I don't know.
I would doubt he would sign. He's like
I doubt it too, but
yeah,
who knows?
It might die once they Jenny Frison moves on to something else.
Right.
Well, and I love the Frison covers, but there's a lot of really fantastic covers for this series.
Yeah, there's so many though. It's getting. I mean,
And
I'm not buying all of them anymore. And I don't think I was ever buying all of them, but I was buying all the Frisons. But
That's my favorite. That's one of my favorite ones.
I love that one. I got that one on a 9/8 slab. Love that one.
Shocking.
And it's obviously going to follow the children monsters.
What did I say? I haven't said anything in a while.
The comments are always like 45 seconds to a minute behind what we're talking about.
I haven't said anything for a while though. I feel like I've been for me, I feel like the comic has the potential to become what I kind of wanted it to become when I read the first volume, which is like unending individual storylines with Eric,
right?
And it could go on
serialized storytelling.
Even if Tynan doesn't want to do it himself and wants to allow other writers and artists to come in, and I that's how I had hoped it would evolve. I felt like they spent too much time in this town at the beginning. Even when I was reading it, I was like, guys, seriously, like finish the story, take a break if you need to, decide what the next arc is, and go on. And I will say the second arc starts off with a little more speed for me, a little more urgency.
No,
yeah, that'll be cool.
Yeah,
you won't evolve into something is killing the uncle.
Now I see it. It's Gore Vidal taking shots at me and my love for Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
I'm lost.
Oh, I like those shows as well, but I think he has a point. I think he's got a point.
But yeah.
So that's what I had hoped, and I hope it's not just a 3-act play. Like I would rather it be even like 1 or 2 trade stories. Like 15 seems long. I want 10-issue, 5-issue stories, and move her around more often. And little by little, you get the overarching journey of Erica evolving.
Yeah. And I would be totally okay with that. Like to me, it does sort of, if they go that route, it reminds me of like the Jack Reacher books, where he's just a wanderer and he wanders into these situations, helps people, and then he wanders out. And or the old Western, the guy wanders into town,
for me,
and wanders out, and
I guess it just depends on where they go with it. Like if 20 issues from now, it's feeling like, like we'll have volume 2 of Something Is Killing the Children or something, like a true volume 2, like reboots, like the big 2 do. I'm out, like count me out. But if it feels more like a 50 to 60 issue, like East of West, like there will be like an overarching, like, resolution or something like that. That's kind of what I'm personally hoping for. That it can go a little bit longer as long as it all makes sense and kind of has some sort of satisfying conclusion that I can walk away from. I'm hoping for that personally. I would rather not see like 10 years from now, issue like 300 whatever of Something Is Killing the Children with like 4 other writers having hopped on board. I just don't want that personally, but I'm not going to knock it if that's the way that they go with it. Well, I guess it's not I don't have
here's my question to the group. is like maybe like Tinian had an initial story he wants to tell, and maybe Tinian and they're 45 issues, whatever, 50 issues. At this point, she has become such a phenomenon.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's going to be a TV show or something.
For lack of a better word, in the Golden Goose that like she potentially is by letting it end, or do you think okay? Because I could totally see this being like this 45 issue arc that I saw in my mind is basically her dealing with this, like the villain of the arc is the Order of St. George, and to her, and getting free of them, but continuing her quest to deal with monsters, because monsters aren't going to end.
By saying also that they've been around for thousands of years and that there are other, that they are just one of many houses. Yeah. They could always do like this is like like George R.R. Martin has his universe. It's not just Game of Thrones. You know what I mean? It's a whole world that exists over a lengthy time period. So does Star Wars. I mean, so if they're saying that in this universe for thousands of years there have been different houses fighting monsters, these spiritual monsters or whatever, then they're at least setting themselves up to do other titles within the same universe, not necessarily Something is Killing the Children, Volume 2, 3, 4, 5 with 500 issues.
I have a question. Would you guys be more or less interested if Erica acquires a gang of other individuals like her from the houses throughout these series? Would that be better? Or would that be worse?
Or with green eyes?
I mean, it would be more. I think it would be more interesting to me if something like that happened potentially, like because it feels like there would be like different kinds of stakes, I guess.
Like, Erica Slaughter's School for Gifted Children.
Yeah, something like that.
I don't know where it's going or what they originally planned. I just have a hard time seeing them walk away from this.
Right.
Like at any time in the future. Maybe they do, but I have a hard time seeing
has there been any sort of actual updates about adaptations? Like I know that there's been a lot of rumors and stuff like that, but nothing official, right? Like yeah.
I mean, I think there's a lot of like the little bit that they haven't given us a ton of the world itself, but there's a lot of potential different ways to go with the Order of St. George, with the monsters and the dolls, like the other maps. The fact that the way they set up how monsters are created, like with it's just like kids basically speaking them into existence by believing it. Like, there's a ton that could happen in this world, and they could tell a really long story. And like Delphia said, they could tell. Or she could have friends that join her. She could basically create her own house split off, if she wanted to. Or they could go back and do what John or Kyle were talking about and tell different through the ages, different Ericas, But so there's a lot of potential here.
Well, they could go back and tell Jessica, like it would be like Anakin to Luke. It would literally be that, like it would be that kind of thing.
Someone stealing the totems, I don't know. I do. Part of me hopes that if their original thought was they had a story with her that they were going to tell, that they kind of stick to that and they don't like go, oh, we can make money if we keep making Erica stuff.
Yeah, right. Like the Something is Killing the Children universe. Just add one letter. Just add one letter at the end, and you're good.
Like the fact that I haven't seen like Erica action figures yet kind of surprises me.
The SIKTCU that rolls right off the tongue.
So, anything else you guys want to like discuss here? We went a little bit, beyond where we think this is going and that kind of stuff. Delphia Kachun, you guys got anything else?
I am curious.
Talk about?
Was it cover to 14 that you showed, John? It's in the cover gallery here.
Oh, there's a
Tommy-
a variant.
This one?
No, Tommy's holding his.
Oh yeah, it's
sister
14.
as a-
Yeah, 14.
What
Yeah,
is that
that's what
alluding to?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what? Yeah.
That's the A cover, right?
What's happening there? And why is it in existence?
It's definitely not representative of what's in the issue.
Yeah,
Right.
I think it's like some sort of metaphor, artistic license or something.
It's
Yeah.
it's basically saying that like Tommy's monster, like if he had it, he would make it look like his sister.
Yeah.
Like, and it's
Oh,
kind of
okay.
what it's.
Right.
I took
His
that. I took it
totem.
in a totally different way. I
Yeah.
didn't take it as like the monster. I took it as
Well,
I
there
felt
is
like
the
that whole-
plushie at her feet. Like,
well, I feel like that whole exercise that they did was essentially like meditation, right?
yeah.
Mhm.
They were just meditating.
What was it called? The game of something? Something game?
I can't remember, but some
Yeah.
game they played in the house. But that was essentially just meditation, and then they were imagining and kind of like transcending their imagination into a manifestation, like energy, essentially. So that's how I took that cover. You
It's
know,
called The Game of Nowhere.
Game of Nowhere. Okay, yeah, that was the name of the story arc in the issue.
which gave me some Stranger Thing vibes in 11.
Totally, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
But I think that to me is kind of what this is, right? I think it's essentially like, if his emotions were manifesting, like that's what his aura would be.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I took that.
When he's got monsters to deal with because he's spending
But I
however
guess-
long in prison, and that's
There's
what
a
he
teddy
has
bear.
to hold on to.
But I guess JP's right. I mean, there is that little totem down there.
Well,
Yeah.
like basically, the part of the game is they force the spirit of the monster into a shape. Like they're forcing it into the shape of the original mother.
Right.
And so, to me, what's happening there is there's a monster in that plushie, and he's forcing it into the shape. He's using, like you said, his emotions to force it into the shape of his sister.
Yeah.
To me, that's to me what's happening there. But
I just thought that was interesting because, as John said, it didn't have anything to do with what was in
no,
the story.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, well, I had one other mention of the guy in prison. Who is that?
Oh.
Which
Hold on.
which part?
Okay.
I'll
Yeah.
find it. It's when they're doing all of the blasting about Tommy being arrested.
oh, like the news media thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I think. Oh,
That guy sitting.
That's his dad. Remember that was the drunk.
Oh,
He's not in jail. He's just on his sofa.
yeah,
Yeah,
he's not in
he's
jail.
not-
It's not a jail cell. Yeah.
I was like, is that
Desi dad from
Okay.
I mean, it looks pretty bleak, but
right? Sorry, my bad.
no, okay.
The same page that the mom is at the grave.
Yeah.
Everything's wrapping up.
I think
You
that
can also-
that's kind of just like, okay, here's Tommy's whole family and where they are, like kind of thing.
Yeah.
These are
Having to
also the
listen
two
to this
trades.
news report, and his dad probably totally believes because he wasn't
That,
there.
he,
He
that
wasn't
his son
part of it.
killed the people. Yeah,
Yeah.
man,
So
that's
These two issues also don't have the something's killing the children splash or spread page.
oh yeah, that one had
issue-
like 4 weeks later or something.
Yeah, issue 15 has the 2 weeks later or
2
whatever,
weeks
but
later.
issue 14 doesn't even have it one at all.
it doesn't have one at all.
Huh.
Oh really?
No,
I don't think I realized
I
that.
actually felt the need to go back through issue 14 and double check, and it doesn't have the spread page at all.
Wow.
Oh,
Interesting.
really?
Must have his realized.
I didn't notice it until I was just flipping through it a second ago. But it does have one of my favorite spread pages, which is her showdown
Gosh, I love that.
with the monsters.
Mhm.
But it doesn't have the
that was actually the image I was looking for last night to put as my thumbnail, but it was just like. But then my second favorite image, though, from the whole book is still this one,
the beginning of 15. Yeah,
the beginning of 15,
Yeah, that one's not.
where she's on her knees, injured, triumphant, but you can't. Not that you can tell, just just out of gas.
I
And
think it's 12. I think where she's like stitching herself up, and I'm like in the The
In
house.
John's
and the-
house.
Yeah.
Oh man, she looks just savage.
And she's saying things like, I'll shake it off. No
yeah,
way.
yeah. No, she was like, I need to shower. I stink. or something.
That's 15.
Oh, that was
but
good. Yeah.
14, or sorry, 12 has her, and she's like stitching herself up. Yeah,
Oh,
and the
yeah.
wounds are like big chunks out of her arm.
Yeah.
Like, so this is
Yeah.
like this is after the first fight outside the car. She's almost looks like she's using glue to like glue it back together.
I thought it was ketchup. I was like, what is she doing?
I don't know that it sounds. I mean,
I
it
don't
could just
know-
be
I don't
like
know what it actually was.
antibacterial,
It'd be
whatever.
like hydrogen peroxide is what.
Yeah,
they-
she's got a first aid kit. That
Yeah, I
she's got.
assumed it was something medical, but,
But there's
it
like
looked like
legitimate chunk, and then she just
it looked
starts
like a
stitching
ketchup bottle
herself
to
up.
me.
Well, we
Yeah.
see her like it bite her and
It
stuff.
does look like ketchup.
I love how
It does look like a
picks
ketchup
her
bottle,
up and
right?
she's having
Am I
a
crazy?
conversation
Or-
like,
yeah.
"Nice kitchen,"
Lubrication.
you know.
Some extra red.
It's probably iodine.
Yeah. Something she's trying to clean it is obviously what she's doing, at least to me, before she stitches it up. But
So the whole next 5 issues is a prequel, or is it just the 2 that are out?
I think it's the whole 5.
It's all 5. Okay.
Mhm.
Oh, wow.
I was
Or,
happy
well,
that
I assume it's only the 5. I don't know. It may go longer, but like considering how long this went, but it's at least the next. 5.
Yeah, I mean they've been doing 5-issue volumes. I'm sure they're doing another 5-issue volume. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was good. I was happy there was less dialogue and action from James in this one.
Yeah, me too. Actually, kind of just from that character specifically. But,
Yeah, I mean his character. I mean I get the point of his character, but it's just such a flat character. So I
Well,
was
and yeah,
happy he was in the background.
he served his purpose. I think, yeah, and it was. I'm okay with the fact that they gave him like the opportunity to have closure with her on the bus ride, but like,
Yeah. that was good. That was a good scene.
It was a good scene, but it helps reinforce for her what she's doing and why she's doing it.
Mhm.
Like after her conversation with the dragon, but yeah. Oh, I'm ready. I'm honestly like, I know Kavi was like disappointed that some of these people are going to be going. I'm ready to leave this town behind. Like I'm more like John in terms of like the townspeople were not. To me, the interesting thing is her and the Order of St. George and how these monsters, like these people in the town, were just a means to an end for me.
I think for most of the characters, I'm okay with never seeing again. It was Bayan and Tommy that I thought those are like extreme resolutions, and to never circle back to them is to me is a little weird. But
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'll get over it quickly if the prequel
It's good.
volume is good. You know, but I
It
haven't read
would have been if the white masks had purged the whole town. It would have been the same kind of ending. I mean, it wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah.
Right.
Tommy.
I will
wouldn't have
say that
been
again. The 2 issues they've published are some of the best. So I was not excited about a prequel story, and then now I'm like, this is kind of interesting.
I still feel like I need to wait until all 5 are out.
Oh,
I can
yeah,
just read
totally.
it in a row. Like I don't want to read those one, then wait a month, and then wait a month, and then wait a month. Like that would be weird for me. But
What, you're taking out the star of the show? Like Harley's been sitting there patiently
I know.
calm and like listening to everything and watching you turn the pages. Archer's snoring over there. It's like I feel like we've got a whole animal thing going.
Yeah.
He
Okay,
likes the story
so-
because it's in Archer's Peak.
Yeah. So we're at our hour
That was
mark.
a dad joke.
There you go, Andy.
Final thoughts? Anybody got their final thoughts on this before we close this out?
Jeff Schultz is asking, whom would you like to see play Erica? I think that's a cool question, but I'd like to see Delphia play Erica. Frankly, that'd be amazing.
well, that would be a fairly easy cosplay, Delphia.
He's easier than some of the ones I've
Some
seen.
of the ones you've done before,
Yeah.
it would be quite a bit
Yeah.
easier.
You could go to a con with a mask on.
You can go to a con with a mask on,
You'd
exactly.
have your mask on, yeah.
I'm trying to think of actresses and stuff, but I'm never good at that
So
kind of stuff.
the one that comes to mind for me is because, and it's mainly because of the eyes, is Anya Taylor-Joy, the one that
Oh
played
yeah, she's
Magic
awesome.
in New Mutants and
She was
played
in Magic and New Mutants.
the Queen's Gambit.
She was so good in Queen's Gambit. That was
Like
a
her
great
is the
performance.
first
Yeah.
one that comes to mind for me.
She'll be good. Yeah, I think she'll be good.
That kick-ass girl.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, what's her
can't
name?
remember her name.
Chloe Moranz or
Yeah.
Chloe Moritz, I think.
Yeah.
Moritz.
Mhm.
Yeah, I suck at this game too. I
Correct,
can never
correct.
think of like the right person at the right time. I just would say
I'm
like
not good at
the
it.
character needs to be extra young. I think works better for me.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of great actresses out there that could fit the part, but I think the character needs to feel. For me, she feels like she's almost like 17, 16. Like she needs to feel like a kid. I feel like she's
I feel
barely
she's a little-
outside of.
She's more like 20ish than 16 or 17. But
That's
like,
the vibe I was getting, like 1920 or whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
But
I just don't want to see like a 25-year-old, 30-year-old.
Yeah, I don't
version of
either.
This. Like I don't. That doesn't fit for me.
I guess my answer would be is I would prefer more of an unknown face.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
she's been so
Yeah.
traumatized that I feel like you make her older and she seems wise, and I wouldn't want that layer to her.
yeah.
Right. I want her
See, I
to feel
think
like
she's too old at this point.
she's still drowning in all the responsibility that she's gotten way too early.
Mhm.
You know. But for me, as far as final
that should be good.
as far as final thoughts, I will say I know we've been basically like White Whale Comicsing it tonight, and I feel like I'm not. I want to make it pretty clear that I'm still really enjoying this series and still picking up the issues, and I have a lot of faith that they figured some things out in that first arc and figured out kind of what works and what doesn't, and are now hopefully doing things a little leaner and a little more streamlined and on to what works for them in this story. So I have a lot of faith that this is going to be something special, and I still think, like we mentioned in the very first volume, this is a character with a lot of potential.
Legs.
As a, I was going to say that, but then that sounded like
Unintended.
really wrong. Yeah,
Unintended.
I paused. A potential to really be an iconic kind of character, really like
Mhm.
hugely
Yeah.
iconic character. The kind, like you're mentioning, the kind of character that you see at cons 20 years from now, people dressed as Erica all the time, because it's such a basic costume that's so iconic to spot, and you know exactly what it is. That I feel like there's a lot of longevity to this.
The comfy cosplay day.
Yeah, there you go.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
why I
right.
picked.
Exactly.
If I had long enough hair, I'd just do the boy version. I'd do the gender swap version.
There you go.
You can borrow my seesaw.
Kavi, you're
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, I think the prequel volume is going to be the make it or break it for me, whether I keep reading or not. Like, I would keep reading just for the point of doing the show, but only if I can get it for free somehow. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not,
Yeah.
because I've been buying these issues digital, like literally paying the digital money
Right.
or whatever for it to read it, and then I've been buying all sorts of, variant covers and 9.8 slabs and pre-ordering slab. Like,
Well,
so
I
I've
think
been
that's a
like
pretty good
aggressive.
investment.
I've been aggressive on it up until this point, but I think the next 5 issues are going to be like a test for me to like what my interest is moving forward, I guess.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Kavi's been spending that Bitcoin money.
Yeah.
He's done with it.
I don't have Bitcoin money, believe me.
So, Delphia and Kachun, your guys' final thoughts on this volume?
Yeah, I'm liking
the series to this point.
I'm liking these trades. I enjoy the show. I'm in for volume 4.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think it's almost like binge watching though. I think like it needs to be in like a nice chunk, like Kavi.
Yeah, I can't read just one issue of this. Like, I just haven't been able to. Like, I need to read all 5 at the same time.
Yeah, I feel like you'd have to pick a few of them up anyway after reading them separately to put them together
Yeah.
to really, see the story.
Yeah. Coming out every month.
But it's good. I like it. I think the art is consistent. And even though, you said it's a little, grungy, JP, I think that it's all proportional and well done and consistent. And I think that helps the reader focus on the story as opposed to like what's happening in this book.
Yeah. And which character is that again? Because it doesn't look like the same character.
No, the characters he does a good job of keeping those characters separate. So, yeah.
Right. When you're trying to guess who the characters are, that can also get tough.
Yeah. So, my final thoughts are a lot of what you guys are saying. Like, for me, I'll be honest, after volume 2, like, I enjoyed it, but I didn't understand what all the hubbub was about. And this volume, for me, like, the last 2 issues especially, like, has really got me re-engaged and wanting to read Volume 4, where I was probably more iffy before. At this point I'm down for a little ways. Let's go. I'm ready to see this backstory and keep going. I do think that some of the hype is more about her, like I said before, but I think there's a good story here. I'm hoping we get more of it. I'm hoping, like John says, that they're finding their stride with this and that it keeps getting better. Mm-hmm. I feel like, in some ways, to me, that kind of reminds me of our Fables discussion, which for me, I felt like Fables took a while to find its stride, and it kept getting better and better as they told more of it. I'm hoping that's what's happening here because, yeah, if it does, then it could be really, really good. So, you guys got anything coming up that you want to talk about? This time we'll start with Kachung and Delphia. You got some shows coming up, Kachung? You guys still doing your Star Wars stuff?
Yeah, we do Star Wars Tuesday nights, 8:30 Eastern on Mr. Garrel's show channel.
Thanks.
Yeah, we break down a character every week.
So who's tomorrow night?
We're actually delving into Tarkin.
Oh,
Nice.
Cool. That'll be a good one.
Yeah, we kind of start with the obscure ones because they have less appearances.
Right.
So we can, build up with the show and get into the main characters later on down the track.
There you go. Nice. Kavi, what do you got coming up, man?
Well, I just got through a whole bunch of stuff. I don't know how much I have coming up that I want to even say. But I did do an interview, my first interview with a comic book, like actual professional comic book artist yesterday on the channel, Ario Anindito. He's the penciler for the Star Wars High Republic book for Marvel. He's the cover artist for the Eve book for Boom Studios. He's worked on all sorts of books. So me and Tony sat down with him for an hour.
Really good.
Talked to him about, working for Marvel, Lucasfilm, all these publishers. And I shared some artwork that I picked up from him. He shared some artwork that he has worked on, and including stuff that he has available for sale. So it was pretty good. So that's really the only thing I want to plug. Just go to comicbooksnyc.store for everything else. It's fine.
There you go.
Yeah.
John, what do you don't? Well, John doesn't make videos, so it's he's never on
Pretty
YouTube.
low key, yeah. I did drop the link though again for a copy store, so everybody should check it out. Bookmark it on your computer. I dropped a video on Black Hammer last week, so anybody looking to get into or understand Black Hammer universe better, because it is a lot of characters, a lot of trade paperbacks, a lot to dive into. So I did a reading order thing, I did a character breakdown element, and kind of gave some reviews of it. So definitely check that out if you're curious about Black Hammer. And then nothing really on my channel till Thursday, so pretty chill until Tag Team Thursday.
What Thursdays is going to be about?
I have no idea. I haven't even shot it. No idea.
Okay.
No clue.
That's your work going next week. I like it. All right. Stuff I got coming up. I probably shouldn't say anything. We're going to try again. We'll see if it happens. The fates have been against us on Usagi. Next Tuesday, we are kicking off Southern Bastards. I got Lady Fantastic. I got Justin No Good Comics, and I'm blanking on the last person now. I'd have to look up.
Looking forward to hearing that talk.
So
nice.
we're talking the first 2 volumes of Southern Bastards next week. So looking forward to that. I have not dove into those yet. So yeah, and then my usual weekend stuff. So thanks everybody for hanging out. I think we got over 20 at one point during this, which is a lot for an indie show. So thank you all for hanging out. Unruly, Jeff Schultz, X11, Joseph Fall. You guys were lots of good comments tonight. Gore always is in here with lots of good comments. So thank you all for hanging out. And we will catch you next time. Say goodbye, Harley.
Bye now.